We're back.
I am sending a message because whoever is above me is walking super loud right now. I can hear thump, thump, thump. So I imagine it'll be super loud on here. All right. Hello, everyone. How are we today? It's Sunday Fun Day.
Yay.
Finally a Sunday Fun Day.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yes, we have us both back. We're live on a Sunday. If everyone hangs around to the end, I will kind of explain where we've been. But we'll leave that cliffhanger till the end because we want to jump straight into the content. That's what we're all here for.
Yep.
I do want to do our little disclaimer here at the beginning. I know that we cover some serious topics, but there's always laughter in the chat. So just to be clear, we do try to be sensitive to the subjects we cover. However, this is live and our chat is definitely got a sense of humor. So we do laugh throughout it and we mean no disrespect with that.
No.
And then if you have not, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. It does help the channel tremendously. It helps get us out there and have more people be able to see our videos.
Yep.
All right. And I am BB3. The channel is Murder Mystery Haunted History. And this is
Nettie from MelNetteLivingFreeZipCodeless.
All right. Let's jump over here and welcome everyone in the chat. We have Nomadic Hippie, who, by the way, is the one who suggested this topic. So
wow,
the topic
awesome.
is, what do serial killers or murderers' families do after the people are convicted? Do they continue having relationships? Do they go see them? Like, what does that feel like? And what would you do? That's kind of going to be the discussion tonight.
Yeah.
So this was Hippie's idea, and I was really curious, so I dove in to find out. Then we have Hitch Up in Tow, who did not know if he was missing us or if we were missing. And then Chrissy Mama, oh my gosh, the most supportive person on YouTube. I promise you she is. So if you do not have Chrissy Mama, please go check her out. If you are a mod, please drop Chrissy Mama's link in the chat. I would really, really appreciate that. All right. And then we have, you've not heard of John Wayne Gacy? Oh, you're about to hear a good story then.
Oh, yeah.
He's creepy.
A little cray-cray.
A little bit.
Just a little cray-cray.
Hippie is driving and listening. Okay, and then we have Tommy Travels. Tommy has a Laura Ingalls Wilder multiple different videos on his channel. I think they should be used in classrooms, his videos. I think teachers should be using those videos to teach their kids because you can't take your classroom all over the place to see where she lived, but his videos take people through, and I think kids would really like that. So just throwing that out there. If you haven't seen those videos, go check them out. Shanna Craft, hello and welcome. We have Larice Jusset, hello and welcome. Ray, it has been way too long. Behave yourself tonight. Love your popcorn. All right. We have the Bridge Burner, hello and welcome. They say they never let him in anyway. All right. Gacy was starting a boys' foundation. See, you're already not behaving.
He's just getting it all out in the beginning.
He's getting it all out in the beginning. And then we have Roy and Becky's Travels. Hello and welcome. YouTube actually gave us a notice. That's awesome.
Hey.
Review. Hello and welcome. All right. I think I got everybody. Oh, here we go. Abel, hello and welcome. All right. So let's jump in. And then remember, if anybody is curious where we've been, I will explain everything at the end. There is a good explanation as to where we've been. So. All right. I will let you start out, Nettie.
Okay. Jeffrey Dahmer. He was convicted of 15 of the 16 murders he had committed in Wisconsin and was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment on February the 17th, 1992. Dahmer was later sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1978.
This man was sick.
He was a little hungry. Sorry.
Hungry. Thinking about him, just his name makes my stomach turn.
Yeah.
Father, Lionel Dahmer, and his stepmother, Sherry. In the Netflix series, viewers are introduced to Dahmer's father, mother, and stepmother and grandmother. 3 individuals continued to support Dahmer, his father, his mother, and his stepmother. Dahmer's father, who is still alive today, stayed in regular contact with his son and visited him in prison along with his wife, Sherry. Lionel published a book called A Father's Story, and in it he discusses what it's like being the father of Jeffrey Dahmer. He even blames himself for Jeffrey's flaws. Okay.
Wow.
So I have a question here. His father stayed in touch, his stepmother stayed in touch, and who else did they say? His mother. Okay.
Yeah.
His father writes a book and then blames himself. Do you think the father stayed in touch out of love, out of I can get some money out of writing this book, or out of guilt? This is my question to think about. Because if you were Jeffrey Dahmer's parent, what would you do? How would you feel or handle that? And then the stepmom stays in touch. And I am curious about that because the stepmom wasn't a part of his life when he was younger. So it's not like she had this love for him as a child. So that makes me very like, ooh, how did you stay in touch with him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See some comments over here. He was just misunderstood. He only needed a cuddle. Not my kind of hungry. These people are demons, you know. Only demons bite people like that. Right? I would agree. Right? It's good to see you in here commenting again. I missed that silly picture, Ray. Don't judge a guy because of his diet. He happens to be regular food intolerant. He requires that high quality meat content, huh?
A lot of protein.
High protein diet. I think I would change my name. You know, later on in the story, you'll find that somebody did change their name. All right. Hey, Thrifty Angela. Hello. Right.
Did it switch? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Lionel makes it clear that he loves his son above all else. He told Inside Edition that all their prison visits started with a hug and that his wife, Sherry, and him were the only people who visited him in prison. Sherry, his stepmom, had only known Jeffrey since he was 10. Is that 10 or 18? I think 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
And said she could sympathize with him and that his greatest loss was his freedom.
See, that I don't understand. She'd only known him since he was 18. And the only thing she has to say is she sympathizes with him because he lost his freedom. He killed people and ate them. What are you sympathizing with him for losing his freedom for? He took people's lives.
Victims. That's crazy.
Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around how that is her. Why? What?
Yeah.
I'm stuttering trying to understand this. And then, so I did ask some questions, and I am waiting to see if anyone's going to answer that. Like, do you think the father, Jeffrey's father, stayed in contact out of guilt, love, or money? Because think about it, if you were his father and you wrote a book, you could make some serious money. Or do you think maybe it was a mixture of all of them? I know that's going to probably be the easiest answer, is mixture of all of them, but one's going to outweigh the other. Roy and Becky said money. He had to get his crazy from somewhere. Okay? I'm just saying. There is a such thing as generational cycles. So his crazy came from somewhere. I read the book, The Shrine of Jeffrey Dahmer. He was messed up as a kid. And that came from somewhere. He wasn't just born messed up. I mean, some kids, yes, they are born messed up, but that's also like encouraged through their raising as well. If I was Dahmer's father, I would sign up for Family Feud and win by forfeit from the other family. That's hilarious. Okay. Joyce Flint, the biological mother. Jeffrey's mother, Joyce Flint, was hurt by her son's actions. She would, however, call him every Sunday while he was in jail, and in interviews, she would always say she loved him. In a 1993 interview, she said, "I wake up every morning, and for a split second, I don't know I'm Jeffrey Dahmer's mother, and then it all floods in." Months after Jeffrey was murdered in prison, Joyce attempted to take her own life, but survived. She left a note which said, "It's been a lonely life, especially today. Please cremate me. I love my sons, Jeff and David." She passed in 2000 of breast cancer. This seems more like a normal mother response.
Yeah.
Like, as much as he was a monster, he was also her son. You're going to always have a love for your child, no matter what they've done. You can love them and hate them at the same time, you know.
But that was heartbreaking just hearing you read that.
Yeah. I mean, that seems very much more like a mother's response. "I love you, you monster." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That seems more like the response I would expect from a parent. Hitch up and toe. I'm messed up, but I don't know people. Well, how do we know that though, hitch up and toe? I mean, you could secretly be a people eater.
A purple people eater?
A purple people eater. Wouldn't it be horrible if Dad was the same way, only never got caught?
Wow, I never would have thunk that.
He learned it from dad. It may have been money too, but I'm sure you could just stop loving your child. Oh, couldn't stop loving your child. Yeah. See, I think that's where I think the mom's response is so important, because I don't think I could ever stop loving my child. But I do think there would have to be more of a stands off approach where, like, she's not going to the jail, but she's talking to him on the phone. She's telling people, yeah, I love him, but she's not standing by his side and just being like, everything's okay. We're going to ignore the fact you were eating and killing people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll eat anything if it has ketchup on it.
I love me some ketchup too, but I don't know if I would do that.
I don't think I could eat people with ketchup. You know, I was with some good old country folk, like down home country folk, and the lady had squirrel, and she was out there on the field, like ripping the skin off of them, like frying them up, and they were coming out looking like a squirrel on a stick. She was like, they taste so good, you got to try it. And I'm like, it still looks like a squirrel. I cannot eat that. Like, I can see the squirrel muscle legs. It looks like
It wasn't like it was a shish kebab, you know. It was.
Yeah, it looks like it could take off and run off the stick at any moment. I can't eat that. That's not going to happen. And I didn't mean to be rude, but it was just not going to happen. I can't imagine people, you know? No.
Yeah. Ooh, Charles Manson. Okay. The writing's small, so I'm trying to focus. So let me see if I can see it.
Do you want me to make it bigger? Hang on.
Can you make it bigger? Okay. Thank you. Is it Charles Millis Manson, November 12th, 1934 to November 19th, 2017, was an American criminal and musician who led the Manson family, a cult based in California in the late 1960s. Some of the members committed a series of 9 murders at 4 locations in July and August in 1969. Although he was originally sentenced to death in 1971, his sentence was commuted to life with the possibility of parole after the California Supreme Court invalidated the state's death penalty statute in 1972. He served his life sentence at the California State Prison. Is it Corcoran? And died at, how do you say it?
I think you said it right. Corcoran.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And died at the age of 83 in the late 2017. Manson had at least 3 biological sons, according to Newsweek: Charles Manson Jr., Charles Luther Manson, and Valentine Michael Manson. I didn't know he was a father. I didn't know he had sons.
I knew that he had a son. I didn't know that he had possibly 3. And then I knew that there was one out there that looked just like him. There's a YouTube interview with the guy, and the guy looks just like him, but there wasn't enough DNA to do a test. So that guy was never determined to be his, maybe it was, that guy was supposed to be his grandson, but there wasn't enough DNA to test or something. I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
he was never 100% said, but the guy looks just like him. Chaco, hello, hello. He says, his face says misunderstood to me. Thank you so much, Mildred. I can't look at him. His eyes creep me out. Yeah, the influence he had is creepy. Tommy says, maybe you have eaten people and don't know, like in fried green tomatoes. Wouldn't that be creepy if you had barbecue? You didn't know. No innuendos there. Somebody, I think it was Hidden said that squirrel is a delicacy with ketchup on it. I can't find that comment now. Oh, here it is. Squirrel and ketchup is a delicacy.
Yeah.
All right. Charles Manson's wife, Rosalie Jean Willis. In January of 1955, Manson married a hospital waitress named Rosalie Jean Willis. About 3 months after he and his pregnant wife arrived in Los Angeles in a stolen car he had stolen in Ohio, Manson was charged with a federal crime, taking the vehicle across state lines. While Manson was in prison, Rosalie gave birth to their son, Charles Manson Jr. During his first year at Terminal Island, Manson received visits from Rosalie and his mother, who were now living together in Los Angeles. In 1957, visits from Rosalie stopped, and his mother informed Manson that Rosalie was living with another man. In 1958, Rosalie received a decree of divorce. Now, this part, I can understand why Rosalie and his mother were visiting him, because he at that point wasn't like in for all these murders yet. He was just in for car theft. You know what I mean? So that part I can understand why people were visiting him. But the mother, apparently, she's a piece of work.
Okay. I'm going to try to read it this way. Manson's mother, Kathleen Maddock. Now, Charles Millis Manson was born November 12th, 1934 in Cincinnati, Ohio, to a 15-year-old red-headed runaway named Kathleen Maddox. His father was a Colonel Scout, a laborer, married to another woman, and shortly after delivering young Charles, Kathleen married a man named Manson, giving her son a legitimate name. His birth certificate simply read, "No name Maddox." Kathleen Maddox was at best a juvenile delinquent and at worst an alcoholic prostitute. She was also a neglectful mother, and she was arrested in 1939 for armed robbery, a crime she committed with her brother Luther. She was sentenced to 5 years in prison, and her son was remanded to Kathleen's sister's care.
See, she's a piece of work. Like we were talking about a little bit ago, genetic or generational cycle. You know,
Yeah.
She was a piece of crap mom, and then he didn't fare much better. So, Hippie said, with no Charles Manson, there would be no Manson jars. Shaco said, Mason jars. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And then Thrifty Angela said, can you imagine being related to this guy, let alone his son? Well, the guy that was on YouTube claiming he was his grandson, and he had so Charles Manson was known to go along with the people and pretend that he was related to people just for fun, so that he'd have pen pals and have people sending him stuff in prison. Even though he knew, I'm not related to this person, but if they want to pretend they are and send me stuff, I'll go along with it. That was his thing. So there's no telling if this guy was the grandson, but he looked just like him. And he was on YouTube bragging, saying that he was. And he had all this memorabilia and all the letters that Manson had wrote him and stuff, and was like bragging about it. Why would you brag about that? Like, that would be something I would hide and not want anyone to know.
Did he look like the younger Manson or the older version of him?
The younger.
The younger?
Like the one, he looked like the Manson that did all of the
crimes.
Yeah, all the crimes.
Wow.
So, small talk would be difficult after a point, perhaps. He also recorded several tracks in Brian Wilson's recording studio in 1968, including Manson's song Cease to Exist. The recordings were never released to the public. Cease to Exist sounds like a familiar surf tune, though.
Yeah.
Without Manson, there would be no Riverview Manson.
Hey, dun-dun-dun.
I would not brag about something like that. Exactly 50, Angela.
Yeah.
No way. That was Wipeout. I wouldn't want anyone to know I was related to him. Exactly. Me either. Right. According to Jeff Quinn's 2013 biography of Manson, his mother moved to Washington State to be closer to him during his McNeil Island incarceration. Working nearby as a waitress, this was the last documentation I could find of his mother visiting him in jail. These were all prior to the Manson family cult killings. So when I was researching, like, this was it. That was where it dropped off. And I don't know if that's because she stopped talking to the public after that or what happened, but I couldn't find any more documentation of her. But I would assume, since she followed him from place to place and was so close, and she had such a dodgy past, and this is my assumption, but since she had such a dodgy past, I would assume up until she passed herself that she visited him. That would be my assumption.
Wow.
All right, hitch up and toe. We're about to get into the one you don't know about. You ready for some craziness? Oh, sorry.
Almost. That was just a cliffhanger.
No, sorry. I forgot. He had another lady. Sorry. Hi, Tracy.
Manson almost 26-year-old bride. At the ripe age of 80, Charles Manson started a new romantic relationship with a 26-year-old superfan named Afton Elaine Burton, also known simply as Star. Star claimed her love was real and she was all in, wanting to marry Charles. They were together for 3 years when Charles passed away from complications brought on by colon cancer. Many speculate that Star was working with Craig Hammond to hatch a plan for collecting Manson's remains. They intended to be the ones to gain the rights to his remains and then display Charles Manson's remains in a glass crypt. And Charles people money to come see him. I guess to charge people money to come see him. In the end, Charles and Star did not marry, and she did not gain access to his remains. Today, she still claims that she truly loves Charles Manson.
Getting information coming in on my phone as we speak. Okay. I will share that, hippie, when we get to that part. Hitch Up and Toe has a really great question. I don't want anyone to answer it in the chat just yet. If you already answered it, that's okay, but answer it later. When we get to the end of all of this, I'm going to ask this question again. So don't answer it just yet, but I want to know what it would take for you to disown your own offspring. Or if that's not possible, but you would set limits with your offspring. So think about that through the rest of this, and then at the end we'll get back to that question. All right. All right. So now, let me go back for just 1 second. I want to talk about this lady right here. So apparently, I didn't type this in here, but through my research, I found out that apparently Charles Manson, they say he knew that her and this guy were working together and trying to trick him, just like he knew the grandson was not really his grandson. But they were coming and visiting him. They were bringing him all kinds of stuff. They were putting money on his books. So he was living the high life because of her and this scam artist. So he had no intentions of marrying her. He had no intentions of anything with her. And he was not going to sign whatever they wanted him to sign. And he knew that. But he got everything he wanted out of him. So he was outsmarting her, even though she thought she was outsmarting him. And in the end, she got nothing out of it, which is kind of funny because she was trying to scam him. And he's the biggest, I don't know why you would think you could out scam the biggest piece of crap there is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just looking at her. She looks deceitful. Yeah, just her expressions,
Oh, 100% she looks deceitful. And I had tons more pictures, but it was really hard to include all of that. But yeah, her dad was okay with her seeing him, which is also very questionable because no normal father would be okay with you dating Charles Manson. There was a whole bunch of stuff, but yeah, apparently she was trying to scam him, and he ended up scamming her. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Chrissy Mama.
All right. So, hey, Lucky Dog Productions moderator, Sue. All right. So now we get into, I keep teasing you, Hitch Up and Toe. We get into John Wayne Gacy, which Hitch Up and Toe has no idea about their story. So let's get into their story. All right. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was an American serial killer and offender who tortured, and emmed at least 33 young men and boys. Gacy regularly performed at children's hospitals and charitable events as Pogo the Clown or Patches the Clown, personas he had devised. He committed all of his murders inside his ranch-style home near Norridge, outside of Chicago, Illinois. He would lure the victims to his home and dupe them into donning handcuffs with the pretext of a demonstration of a magic trick. Then he would and torture his captive before killing them by either asphyxiation or strangulation with a garrote. I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly. That just means some type of rope with a choking mechanism on it. 26 victims were buried in the crawl space of his home, and 3 others were buried elsewhere on his property. 4 were discarded in the Des Plaines River.
Crazy.
What's even crazier is I thought he lived there alone. Okay? I thought this whole time, I thought this man lived in that home alone. That's not true. He didn't live there alone. He lived there with his mother.
Oh my gosh.
At some point, his mother lived in that home with him while he was doing this. All right,
Unbelievable.
Let's go to the comments for just a second.
Yeah.
Hippie would disown his kids for taking the last slice of pizza. She might be from Wisconsin, the lady that
With the bucket.
I know she's got a bucket. Bishop and Toe said, it's the Joker.
Yeah.
R and Emming, all the things. Exactly. I like his clown makeup, though. He's better at makeup than I am, Shaq. His home is up for sale at the moment. Oh,
wow.
No, I would not buy that home. You could not. I don't even think you could get me to go in that home. Serious organizational skills when you see the size of that crawl space. I know, right? Gacy would not like my mess. He doesn't sound that bad. We're talking about the same person? All right.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
John Wayne Gacy's sister, Karen. John's sister, Karen, spoke out on the Oprah Winfrey show. Karen visited him regularly at his home prior to his arrest. When asked if she noticed anything irregular at the home, Karen said, when he first moved in there was always this musty smell. It was a real dark type housing, and Karen found it hard to believe that her brother could be responsible for killing all those boys and young men. However, she received a phone call at 2 a.m. from John's attorney saying, "We have John, and he's been arrested." She then asked to speak to him, and she asked him, "John, did you do this?" In a not very audible reply, John told her yes. She then says she was in shock. It was hard for her and her husband to believe, she says, because the John they knew was a good, kind, and always taking care of them.
I am so sorry. I was busting out laughing over here. Tommy, you need a comedy show. He said, I saw that in Murder Homes and Gardens.
Oh my gosh, Tommy.
Oh,
But how's the architecture on that Murder Homes and Garden?
Tommy, you are too funny. Hello, PSV Odyssey. Hello. Lucky Dog Productions moderator. Gonna have to go back and watch the beginning to see what I missed. Very interesting. Yes, please do. So this, the whole topic is on these serial killers and, murderers in general. Hippie got me thinking and kind of came up with the topic. What do the families do? Do they continue to love them? Do they visit them? Do they stay in their lives after they find out about it? And when we kind of dug in to see, on these particular serial killers, did they do that? And so that's what we discussed today. Just wondering, was he a cowboy and could he ride a horse? Oh.
Hi, RVBFE. That's Baron Don.
Oh, I missed that they came in. Hello. Okay. John Wayne Gacy's sister Karen. At one point, while visiting him in Cook County Jail, Karen had a conversation with Gacy, who was at this point claiming to be innocent. She was angry and asked him if he was innocent. How could he not know all these boys were under the home? Remember, there was 20-something boys under his home in the crawl space. He then claimed to maybe know about one or two, to which she then said, if you know about one or two, you know about all of them. Karen said she was very angry, so angry that she could have socked him one. When asked by Oprah if John had any other traits as a child of a serial killer, such as killing animals, etc., Karen said no, nothing, no signs at all. In fact, they had pets as kids, and he was so gentle with them.
Wow.
Yeah, well, hang on.
Now for the rest of the story.
Yeah, now for the rest.
Yeah. When asked if Karen thought the killings were because John was hiding and BS, that sounded funny, or being gay, Karen said she was unsure. She did say that when he was sentenced to 15 years and served 10 years for sodomy of a 15-year-old boy, that John told them it was consensual, and that her mother went on to tell her that John had been M as a child. They thought this may have been the reason for this and that it was a one time occurrence. Karen was with John in the hours before his execution. She said she loved her brother, not the evil in her brother, as she never knew that side of him. She also said she had she also said had there ever been a chance at him winning an appeal, she would have fought against it to keep him in prison. And Karen said walking away knowing she would never see him again was very difficult. She also said the family chose to bury the Gacy name to try to give their kids, grandkids, and themselves a normal life.
So let's just chit chat for 1 second here, where she said that he didn't have any signs growing up that he could have issues. And then the very next thing, Oprah says, well, what about when he did that to that kid and he got arrested and put in jail? What about that when he was 15? Was that not a sign? Like, what? I know that you want to believe in your family, but I mean, how can you sit there and say there was no sign that he had something wrong with him, but he had done? Oh, I couldn't type it all out in the thing, but so this group that he was a part of that gave him access to the kid that he did this to was this group that was supposedly doing good deeds for the community, but they were a PORN group. When they got together, they shared PORN. They were men on men doing stuff with each other. And the kid that he had access to was one of the people in the group. It was their son. He did it to their son. And he told their son that he was showing them how to do it so he could continue on the legacy.
Unbelievable.
And yet they're going to say that was not a sign that he had issues. Like,
yeah,
what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So RBBFE said something that I want to bring up. John Wayne Gacy was a scary mofo. He was pretty prominent as a do-gooder in his community, like hiding in plain sight. So I just recently did a video on this channel about a YouTuber that I was shocked. I had recently shouted them out as a do-gooder. They had been doing good things, solving cold cases. I think they found over 20-something cold cases. They found 20-something missing people that had passed away in rivers and lakes. Um, and I had shouted them out for these good deeds they were doing. And many people, they recently blew up with their channel. And it just came out that he was touching kids. Is the best way I can describe him. So again, a monster hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
And I have to say, allegedly on that, but he admitted to doing these things in emails. So, I mean, it's kind of proven. So, yeah, I think that not only are these monsters among us, but they're literally in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how they gain access a lot of the time. If you're looking for that video and you want to see it, it's called Jared Lysick, AWP, Monster in Plain Sight. It just recently came out on my channel. So let's go back real quick to that question that I wanted to ask here at the end. This question, I would like everyone in the chat to let us know, what would it take for you to disown your own offspring? Or would you not disown them, but maybe distance yourself from them? Let us know in the chat what your answer to that is. Nettie, what do you think?
Say it again.
What would it take for you to disown your own offspring? Or would you just maybe distance yourself from them?
I think I would distance myself. I don't know if I could ever disown, even though, if it's dealing with murder, it's still your child. You still gave birth to them. It's really hard for me to relate because I am not a mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the way I would go, as far as just keeping my distance. I think it'd be kind of hard, to just totally disown if you're a mom.
Yeah. I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I've thought about it because there's been situations in my family that have disgusted me.
Yeah.
And I've watched how my family's reacted to them. Some of my family has chose to just act like it never happened and move on, and everything's okay and fine. I would never be able to do that. I think I would always love my child because they're my child. I don't think I could ever turn on my child completely. I don't think that I would be able to accept their behavior, but they would always be my child. So I would love them from a distance, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it would have to do with their crime as well. Like, did they do something to my grandchild? If they did something to my grandchild, then would I ever speak to them again? I don't know. But would I still love them? Yes. Would I have a final conversation that says, I love you, but I can't speak to you because I can't forgive this? I would probably have that conversation. But I wouldn't really know until I was in that situation. But I do know one thing. I would always love them. You know what I mean? So let's see what we have as far as answers over here. Oh, also, Hippie is starting up a business. I cannot tell you what it is, but I can tell you that John Wayne Gacy's mother gave him a Bible and signed it to her son, and that he's going to have that Bible on display where his business is going to be. So
Wow. That's big news.
that was the news I got from Hippie on a text message. So more to come from Hippie. Keep an eye out on that. If they performed with Ron Jeremy, they're disowned. Shaco. Is it bad that I know who you're talking about? And I only know because of the sick things that he's in trouble for, by the way. All right. Don't think I could. You don't think you could disown them? Yeah, I don't think I could disown them. I don't know. I'm on like a kind of depends on what they did. Did they hurt my grandchild? Because then it becomes grandchild, innocent child versus, and I'd have to be in that situation to decide how I felt. I don't know. You normally just loan them money and then they distance themselves from me. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. A bad Christmas gift is usually when I disown them. True.
And I didn't put it in perspective as far as it still being in the family. You know what I mean? Like on that instance, for the one that you just talked about, that I did drop the link on that video for you on for Jared. But yeah, if it's between like family, yeah, that is very hard. Like you're just saying, if it's your grandchild versus your child,
Yeah.
that would be something that would be very difficult. And with that instance, I would probably, I would want to be there for my grandchild, and I would drop my child.
Yeah, I would want to be there for my grandchild 100%, and my grandchild would kind of lead the way, I think, as far as how I went with my child.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it would probably take me a while to figure that out. And until I was in that situation, I really couldn't tell how I was going to deal with it. If my kid, and I talk about that particular situation because of the Jared situation, Jared. Yeah. So if my kid borrows my car and brings it back with trash or fries on the floor, totally disowned. If my son did certain things, I think I would turn him in if I found out about it. If it was fairly horrific, I don't think I would visit or donate cash while they were in prison. I think I'm on that same page. I think I'm on that same exact page. I think if my child robbed a place, I would turn them in. They need to suffer the consequences of their actions. I don't even think they'd have to do like a horrific crime for me to turn them in. I mean, if they do something that's illegal, very illegal, they're getting turned in by mom. They need to suffer the consequences. I've raised children that need to be following the law. I think you don't know what you would do until it actually happened. Very good answer.
Yeah.
And then this is Nettie dropped the link for the very first video I put out on Jared. And then there's another one that kind of goes into a little more detail. But that's if you want to check that out. With my family, if I don't contact them, they never just reach out. It's weird because we all get along. They just never initiate contact. Yeah, my family's a mess. Roy and Becky said I would distance myself. If they ran a dog fighting ring for reals, disowned. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm starting up a new company selling Jeffrey Dahmer ketchup. I bet it would go well.
Is it the fancy ketchup? Because there's regular and there's fancy. Just saying.
I'm not a father, but I disown other people's children all the time. I don't even have to know them. If my future wife from Wisconsin did not like my children, I would have to disown them.
And do you keep the bucket or do you return the bucket?
Do your kids end up in the bucket or do we just disown them? I mean, which way? All right. So I did promise at the end here we would discuss where we've been the last couple of weeks. So if you're interested in hearing that, hang in here with us. If not, we are done with the true crime wrap up, and I appreciate you guys hanging out. All right, so where we've been. It's been a rough month.
Yes.
A
little bit.
So just a little. So Nettie was a little bit under the weather, and we were, hoping Nettie got better. And then, out of nowhere on November 5th, I got a little bit of a bellyache that ended up feeling like I was having a child. Legitimately, I felt like I was having a baby. And so I was rushed to the hospital, and within hours, I was rushed into emergency surgery. So I had what was called an internal hernia. I didn't even know what that was until then, but like your intestines can twist inside you and they can rip. I didn't know that was possible. And when that happens, you can like get septic and all that stuff. And so that's what happened on November 5th.
Yeah.
And so they went in and they repaired all that. And they told me that was the second time that had happened to me. Sorry. 6 months ago, that happened to me. I'm even forgetting. Okay, 6 months ago, that happened to me. On November 5th, that happened again. And so they rushed me in and they said, it's very rare for this to ever happen a second time, but you shouldn't worry anymore. This is taken care of. It's never going to happen again. It's never even been on record to happen a third time. So like, no worries, you're fixed, never going to happen again. And also, don't worry, you're not doing anything to cause it. Okay. So I stayed a couple days in the hospital, and then I came home. Well, on Sunday, which is right at a little over a week from the November 5th surgery, an hour before we were going live, I felt that same exact pain, like I was having a child. And I was going to go live and then go to the hospital. But my daughter told on me, and she went and told Bulldog and told him that I was having that pain. And so he was like, no, you're not going live. So I called Nettie. And as soon as Nettie heard my voice,
what's wrong?
She said, what's wrong? And I explained to her what was going on. And so I ended up at the emergency room again. And no more than I got there, we figured out that I needed to go back in for surgery again. And so I went back in for surgery. And the thing that they said that couldn't happen happened again. And so I am the only documented case now that this has happened to 3 times. They have no idea why my body is rejecting the fix. We don't know if it's going to happen again. I do know that I know what the pain is and to go immediately if it does happen again. But I had surgery twice within 8 days.
Yeah, a week.
Yeah, on the same exact spot, going in through the same exact spot. So healing is going to be pretty tough. But I am home, thankfully. I spent about a week in the hospital this time. They made me stay a little longer than usual because usually they send you home the next day. But they made me stay a little longer than usual. And now I'm home and I'm healing and taking it easy and fingers crossed and praying that this takes and that it heals up this time. So that's where we've been. I had every intentions of coming live.
She's like, Literally, Nettie, I can go live. I'm like, are you kidding me? She was in so much pain. I'm like, no. I'm so glad your daughter told on you. Get your butt there. It was crazy. But now
Uh,
you should be in the Guinness Book of World Records because, like you said, there is no other cases like this where it's happened like that. So it's nuts. I'm just glad you're doing better. We've all been praying for you. So I'm
they
so glad
didn't.
you're doing better.
Well, and I asked the doctor because I have what's called a connective tissue disorder. And so I asked the doctor, is it possible that my connective tissue disorder is just not letting like the inside of me connect? Because usually the connective tissue disorder affects like bruising on me, things like that, the outside of my body. And he said, there's just not enough people that have my disorder that have had this surgery for there to be enough research to tell. So we have no idea if that's what's causing it. But yeah, so but I wanted to go live. I like wanted to do the live. And so I was down the hall hiding, and then I was just going to sneak down the stairs and do the live. And then my daughter came in to tell me bye for work because she was going to work. And she looked at me and she's like, yeah, no. And she goes outside and she goes, you make her go to the hospital now. And I heard her out there telling him. And I was like, I'm in trouble.
And look what Tommy Travels said.
You have the world record. Hippie should make a wax figure of you with the story hernia. Well, that's the other funny part is they don't know, like I have two doctors handling the situation. One's my surgeon, one's like a regular doctor. The surgeon has done all three surgeries.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor, you think he would talk to the surgeon? I don't know. But the doctor must think it's like an external hernia. And it's not, it's internal. So they're two different things. It's not a hernia that like pokes your belly out or anything. It's inside. It's like literally my intestines twisting and like tying up. I don't know. It's weird. But, and then like my dad, he keeps telling me, don't lift things and don't do this. And are you eating right? And I asked the surgeon, I said, will you write me a note? And he goes, what do you need a note for? I said, so when people keep telling me to stop lifting things or to eat better or to do this, that I can just hand them the note that says that it's nothing that I'm doing that's causing it.
Right.
I'm so tired.
Can I record you so I can play it when they ask me to stop doing things?
Everybody's giving me lectures on how I can make it stop happening. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything to make it happen.
Wow.
So yeah, but I really have kind of kept it under wraps other than Nettie asked me, do you want me to tell people? Because I didn't want everybody to just think that I was being lazy and not showing up or just flaking on everybody. There was a real reason why, we weren't here, and I didn't want to let everybody down. So I do apologize. I did try to make it. I just got stopped by the man upstairs.
Yeah. And your health always comes first. Yeah, nothing's more important than your health, baby.
Yeah. Nettie was like, no.
Yeah, and don't make me come up there. I'll get in the bus and we'll head your way.
All right, let me get over here to the comments really quick. I'm not the father, but I disown other people's children. Okay, I read that one. You've been down the pub, haven't you? I wish I had been down to the pub. Mm-hmm. Internal hernia. That's the name of my metal band. Just need a good fart. That probably would have made me feel better at the time, but I couldn't even do that. I was just like, I can't do anything. It won't stop hurting. BB3, you're a trooper. Wow. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Becca. You have the world record. If you should make a wax figure, I read that one. Prayers for you both. Yes, thank you. I felt so bad bothering Nettie because I was like, she's supposed to be like just taking in healing vibes and feeling better, and here I am going downhill.
What's wrong with you? Are you okay? I was so worried.
Oh, I didn't want to give you. You were supposed to be feeling better, like just relaxing and chill vibes, and then I'm dumping bad news on you. Glad you are better, getting better. Thank you. Sending positive vibes. I don't know why I can't click. There we go. Sending the positive vibes and the good stuff. Thank you so much. This, I don't know if it's my internet all of a sudden or what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think I'm losing internet.
Wonder if you'll let me.
Think.
Can you?
Yes, so glad you're doing better. At a certain age, you got to give up the acrobats in the bedroom. Just saying. That is a fun story. You know, jokingly, someone asked about that, and I was like, you'd feel real bad if I had to go back to surgery and get repaired. I said that. And literally 2 days later, I was back in surgery. We didn't because I had just had surgery. It was just a joke. We were just joking, like good old hee 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 hee. And then I ended up having surgery, and I came out of surgery and I said, see, aren't you glad we didn't? That's probably too much info.
Well, we could have, because you would have ended up there anyway.
Right? We could have. Lucky Dog said buffering. Yeah, I think I was having an internet issue. But all right. Well, while the internet is giving us trouble, I think we'll hop off here. But I am so glad that we got Sunday Fun Day back and we made it through alive without any trouble other than the internet. And we're both healthy in here tonight. And we'll be back next Sunday, God willing. We'll be here.
If not, you'll see something, but hopefully we'll be here.
All right. Well, wishing you all much kindness and much love.
And we're sending love your way. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.